Okay, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to our Water and Sewer Utility Committee meeting of Thursday, June 22nd, 2023. We have the order of business. I'll call the meeting to order. And could I get the approval of the agenda? Moved by Councillor Ramsey, second by Councillor Matart. Any declarations of conflict of interest? See none? Okay. And we'll go down to number 4, the adoption of the minutes of Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. By Councillor Ramsey, second by Councillor Matart. And any business arising from those minutes? Number 5.
Yes, Councillor. Mr. Chair. 6C.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
6C.
Go right ahead. 6.
Yeah, just, I know that Richard had in a report about replacing those solar panels at the Milton Vale well field. Did we get a price yet, Richard, or did you, or Mr., through the chair to the manager? Did we get a price, or are you going out to tender?
Still working on getting pricing.
Right. Could I just ask again, when did this sort of go off the tracks? If you could just go back and see what, was it 218, 219 when we weren't insured, or because it's I like to just track to find out where the responsibility lies. And I know you're the utility manager. You always, it has to pass up through the line of command or into another silo, which could be finance. So if you can just get that when you're looking to put your tender together. Is that all right? Or is that clear? Is that clear enough?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mayor Brown and Manager Richard. Okay, we'll go to reports, number 6. Any discussions on that? Could you enlighten us with that tender, Mr. McEwen?
Sure. So we have gone out for pricing to replace our existing backhoe. There were 2 responses that we received, but only one of the responses has given us a guaranteed maintenance and a guaranteed repair, and given us the 7-year warranty that we're looking for. So at this point in time, we are recommending that we go with the supplier who has provided us with the response that gives us the guaranteed maintenance cost, the guaranteed repair cost, and the 7-year warranty that we're looking for. The other respondent's only offering a 2-year warranty, and we're concerned that although it is on face value, looks like a lower cost, it could end up costing us more through the life of the machine. And our reviews of the machine, they're much more comfortable with the CAT.
Thank you for that. Any questions? Councillor Ramsey?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that, Richard. I'm just looking at it. It says with trade. We have nothing to trade in for that, is there, or do we?
No, we do. We would look to trade our existing backhoe in.
Okay, thank you. I just wondered about that. I didn't think we traded off the stuff. I just thought once it died, it died. Okay, thank you.
Any questions, Councillor?
I do, Mr. Chair. It's exactly in line with Councillor Ramsey's question. So to answer the question, yes, there's a trade, but below it talks about the financial implications of being 231,371. So that would in fact not be accurate if we are doing the trade. Is that my understanding? Because then we'd be paying the 176 plus any additional guaranteed maintenance cost and guaranteed repair. So we're less than 231,371.
Correct. We'd be the 176,371.
And does that include the 15,759 and the 9,050 or no?
No, so the guaranteed maintenance cost and guaranteed repair cost, that's only if we incur those costs through the 5 years. So what they're saying is that if beyond, as we're working through and having maintenance and repair costs, if we find that our maintenance costs go over 15,789, that's a ceiling. For 5 years, our maintenance costs will not exceed 15,000. So they're guaranteeing that what we're going to see through the first 5 years of our maintenance and guaranteed repair costs, we're not going to go beyond those costs. So if a piece of equipment or a piece of that equipment broke that was $20,000, our upset limit in the first 5 years is 15,789. And if we only pay, and if our maintenance costs are only $500, we're only going to pay $500 in maintenance for that first 5 years. So that's an upset cost, like the ceiling.
Sure. So just in reviewing what you're asking us to approve here today or to endorse, it is in fact not 231,371. Is that, do I understand that correctly? Because we do have a trade-in.
You are correct. Yes, we would go with the trade.
So the anticipated cost is 176,371. We may just want to update that as what we're actually endorsing.
Appreciated. We'll change that now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Good? Mayor Brown? Yeah, that's true. Thank you very, I appreciate it. Thank you. So what do you want from us, Richard? Anything?
That you're good with us bringing forward a resolution to council in the amount of $176,371 plus HST. Correct, capital.
That's great. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Ramsey, second by Councillor Matart. Thank you. Now we'll go on to B, Passmore Street Reconstruction Project.
Yes, so thank you. And probably should have had that as capital projects update. And in the future, we'll provide you with a written report giving you an update on the progress of our capital projects. So this first one is the Passmore Street reconstruction, and it is a combined project with Public Works and the utility. And on Tuesday evening, we had a first public meeting of the project. And I wasn't able to attend, but Josh was there representing us, and I understand he did a terrific job representing us. And if you'd like to hear an update from him with the outcome of that public meeting, he is here to provide that.
Mr. Chair, could I just say, a public meeting is something that's declared here in the chamber. So this is more an information meeting, correct?
Thank you, Your
Yeah,
Worship.
thank you.
Sure, if you could give us an update, Josh, would that be acceptable to everyone? Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
The meeting went well. I do believe the residents that were in attendance were pleased with the work that will be conducted. There was initial concern with, I think, the direction of traffic flow, just because Bayfield is a one-way street as well. So that is going to be confirmed with Public Works as to the proper orientation of Passmore and Bay Street or Bayfield. But other than that, those were the main concerns. And then just during construction, it was the removal of trash and recycling. So it's going to involve a tremendous amount of coordination with residents and Public Works and Water and Sewer as well. But I do believe it was well received and there was no glaring concerns.
Thank you, Josh. Councillor Ramsey, you have a question?
Thank you, Chair. We never received that in our calendar as an invite. I'm wondering in the future if we could. Because we're not only representing our own wards, we're doing the whole city, if that's possible. Thank you.
Sure, that wouldn't be a problem.
And
Go
Councillor
ahead,
Duran,
Mayor
there was, no, to Josh's defense, there was an email sent out, but Josh, I think it was sent out to the old committee.
Okay.
You had Councillor Tweel, Councillor Duran, McCabe, and myself. So that was the former committee of water and wastewater. That's what happened. I just looked at the email here. Is that what you were going to say, Richard?
No, I appreciate that, and really need to review protocol, but I think maybe all of council should be advised
Yeah.
of it in the future, and I kind of saw that, but it was a little bit late. Do apologize for that. Apologies. Yeah, so we'll do a better job on that, and again, kind of trying to get better at these public information sessions. One piece that I would like to bring forward is that there weren't a lot of residents that came out, and this is a particularly important project for water and sewer because there are lead services, we believe there are lead services on the street. When we expose the line, we'll know for sure. But if we do find lead services on this street, we really want to encourage the residents to also look at replacing their side of that service. And that's a very important message for us to try to get out to the public. So as the project is progressing, and we also have mailing addresses, because not all of the people who own those properties actually live at those properties. So I'm kind of looking for your encouragement that we really try to get a hold of those owners and residents and really encourage them to look at replacing their side of the service if we do find that there are lead services on that street. And our records suggest that that is what we will find. We really want to make sure that the owners of those properties take advantage of this opportunity. There's going to be a construction project there, and while that is their infrastructure, we have included an option within this contract, and we also have a program available to residents through our PACE project, where there's a 30% grant available to them and financing of changing their side of the service.
Wow, that sounds great, Richard. Now, how to get that information to them all? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so right now, we've door to door, we've placed the flyer for this information session and included that piece of information on the lead service in
So you
that
went door
flyer.
to door?
We've already done door to door,
Wow.
but now we want to, because some of the properties are rental properties, so the tenant may not have passed it on to the actual owner, or we only had two residents, two properties represented at our public meeting of almost 40. So we want to really try to get that word out and encourage the residents or owners of these properties to understand that if we find lead services there, it's really in everyone's best interest to complete both sides of that service.
And Mr. Chair, I believe that O'Halloran owns the apartment building down there, so it's just a matter of sending that to Philip O'Halloran, because I'm sure he'd get it not only to the tenants in Passmore, but on Chestnut. And then there's some other property owners that don't live there, you're right, Richard, but John Quinn lives down there, I know that. So, you're not always going to hit everybody, but I appreciate that you did that, because normally we just send it to the home, the owner of the home. That's when planning sends out a notice, it just goes to the property owner, not to the person renting the property. So this time you went door to door. Could I just ask, Mr. Chair, did you get 10, 12, 15 out, Josh? How many were out?
We had 2 residents show up for the meeting, but we did have representatives from Public Works, Water, Sewer, Environment, Sustainability, and we had the contractor had representatives available as well.
And I think, Mr. Chair, this project is budgeted at what, capital budget, 500,800?
1.68.
What is it?
1.68 million.
That's just for the water and sewer.
No, the water and sewer is just over 1 million.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any questions? Nothing? Okay. Thank you for that, Richard.
I have one other capital project that is, we're working on the refurbishment of our Malpex station because it was damaged during Fiona. There was roof damage. We have a blue tarp on it now. And in reviewing it currently has asphalt shingles. So historically it had a slate roof. So in looking at redoing the roof, we brought forward a suggestion that maybe we look at replacing the roof with a material that looks like slate. And in doing that, it gets triggered as it's a heritage property. It went through the heritage board, and they were not in favor of us using metal look-alike for slate, but they did say that we could use actual slate. So I have costing for the difference between doing it as redoing the asphalt roof or doing it as a slate roof. Just an important piece for the water and sewer utility to be aware if we went in that direction. So the estimate for asphalt roof is $71,000, and the estimate to redo it in slate is $208,000. So it's almost 3 times more to go with the natural slate on the roof. And we had budgeted $200,000 to begin our rehabilitation of that building this year in our capital budget. And I just thought it important to bring that forward to this committee for your consideration and understanding. So
Chair,
Go ahead.
no, you go ahead, Justin.
Mr. Chair, I do recall at one of our last meetings, did we not have a heritage, come through heritage that was rejected, that we would go with slate on that building or another type of composite material of some sort to the manager?
Yeah, right. So we proposed metal that looks like slate, and that was rejected.
Okay. It was metal
And
that looked
they,
like
they then proposed that you
Real
can
slate.
proceed, but it would have to be with actual slate.
slate. Okay, that was the difference. Okay, thank you, yeah.
I am looking for a direction from this committee. So my understanding is that we could go with asphalt because that's what's there, but the Heritage Committee has suggested that we go with natural slate.
Mr. Chair, not only did they suggest, they voted. It was unanimous to go with the slate. Mr. Chair, that building out there is a heritage resource for the city of Charlottetown. I think it was built in 1888. So it goes back to the same date as this building right here, when it opened in 1888. And you recall when, Mr. Chair, and also Councillor Ramsey, when we were planning to redo the roof over for City Hall, our former CAO was looking at a plastic type of mock slate. Thank God we didn't go with it, because I could imagine something like that sliding off the roof and someone picking it up and saying, this is not even real slate. So we went with the real slate, because you know what? If we're going to promote history or heritage, then you know what? We better practice what we preach. Now, I brought this up at the committee, the Heritage Committee. I voted in favor of it, of going ahead with the real slate, because, Mr. Chair, I think this is an opportunity for us to take that as a project for this standing committee and to turn that into a public space, or a space where Charlottonians or visitors can see firsthand how we actually extracted our water from below ground. Because if you look at other municipalities, there's surface water. Like Montreal gets all its water from surface water. Our water comes from underground wells, which is unique, and it provides, as Richard will tell you, the manager, it's a purified or a better filtration. So I think we really have to stay on this course. I think if we have to find more money, we have to find more money, but this is the time to really put our boots on the ground and say, we are promoting heritage, not only in the city corporation, but in the utility corporation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you for your comments. We have two other questions there.
You want to go?
Councillor Ramsey, go ahead.
Yes, Chair, thank you. To the manager, could you explain, or not explain, tell me the difference in the cost again with the two?
70 and 200.
Oh, 70 to who? Okay. So $130,000 more, basically. Okay, thank you. I just missed that.
Mr. Chair, to the mayor, I agree with the aspects of the heritage component and turning it into there. I guess I'm looking at it from a practicality perspective, you know, the roof and what the protection of the roof does from an asphalt shingle versus a slate shingle. I think the slate adds an aesthetic component to it, maybe a bit of a historical component, I'm not sure, because clearly asphalt shingles wasn't around in, 1889. So I get that, but I think from a fiscal, being fiscally responsible, that is a $130,000 difference. But, I think the other things you mentioned about making it a public space, having people come in, I'm not sure what the roof has to do with that component of it. So I think that we need to look at it from, what is it from a practical perspective of protecting that building in the future. So my question to the manager, if I could, is an asphalt shingle implementation could be anywhere from 20 to 25 year lifespan. And a slate, I don't know what longevity of slate is. If you can tell me that is 3 times longer than an asphalt shingle thing, then I can justify in my head that would be something we would get 75 years worth and extend this out to 200 years, this building, so.
Well, yeah, that's a good question, Councillor Matard. In today's society, there's many different things to look at besides asphalt and slate. There's so many products out there. Have we expanded that search, or did we just go asphalt and slate? There's lots of roofs that you go around, you think, wow, what is that, right? So I don't know if you looked into all those other options?
Wooden shingles, would probably what was on that building.
I would think.
No, it was slate.
It was.
They were slate. Yeah, it was slate.
Okay, I mean, there's a historical aspect to that, I get it, but.
Could you comment, Mr.
Yes,
McEwen?
so that's actually what we did and what we put to Heritage was that we wanted to use a product that was not slate, but that looked like slate. And that's what got rejected, that if we're going to change from asphalt, that we need to actually put on a slate roof and not something that just looks like slate.
So it's
Chair,
a
if I
bad
could
word.
just say, Mr. Chair,
Just a second, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, go
Just a
ahead.
second. Okay. Mr. Mattard had the floor. I'll get to you right after. Go ahead, Councilor Mattard.
Well, I think this is a debate of one of historical preservation versus, practicality of cheaper material, meaning asphalt shingles. So there lies the debate, I guess, from a historical aspect. Hence, this is deemed a historical property and building. So, I mean, I'm not arguing it. I wish the discrepancy wasn't 70 to 200,000. I mean, I'm looking at it from a financial, fiscal responsibility here and saying, is that the best use of $200,000?
Exactly.
My second question to that, was on that was, if I heard you, Richard, is that 200,000, you talked about a budget of 210 or something for the preservation of that building. Did that include other projects around that building that now would not be applicable due to the increase in this budget?
Go ahead,
To the chair, sorry.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, so that's correct. So we were this year, we set aside 200,000 to start the preservation. I mean, there'll be more costs into the future. And I didn't answer one of your other questions. So the slate roof it is anticipated that it should last longer than the asphalt shingles, and it could be that it does actually last 3 times longer. With proper installation, we can get that additional life. And that's also kind of why we looked at alternatives from the asphalt shingles, where we get the aesthetic and the extended life. But the actual slate should give us the extended life.
Thank you.
Mr.
Go
Chair,
ahead, Mayor Brown.
First of all, I should go back to the agenda. I'm a little surprised that this was put on this should have been put under approval of the agenda. It's not on my agenda, but this was added on. And, Mr. Chair, this was already debated and discussed and voted on by the Heritage Committee. And it was clear from that decision, and, well, first of all, the discussion that took place and the decision that was made, that we have to look at the preservation of this historical site. And there's a lot that can be done there. I think, Richard, if you go down to, or maybe Pauline, those photos that are in around Pauline's office probably, I think, are from that facility. But I think we'd be going down the wrong direction if we decided to go with asphalt or something else, because the federal government, Parks Canada, is spending $90 million, and it's probably going to go up to $100 million to preserve Province House. They're spending $1 billion to preserve Parliament Hill. Like, history is not cheap, especially when we are an historic city. We're not like any other new city that doesn't have the historical connection to this country. When you look at the Charlottetown Conference in 1864, everything that took place since then puts us on the map, not only because we're a capital city, but we're an historic city. So I think if we need the money, we can find the money. And I believe, as Richard said, slate, I know Don Stewart has slate on his roof on Water Street. Well, Don bought it for a reason, too, because there's a longevity component to it, but also it's the price. So you pay up front, but you get it on the back end. So if we try to reverse or vote against a decision that's already been taken or discussed by the appropriate committee for this issue, I think this would lead us into an issue that we'd have to resolve procedurally in some way or some fashion. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you. And I understand City Hall, Province House, but this is it's a building out the edge of town there that, it's been kind of neglected for the last number of years. So now we're getting into, the triple the cost for a roof that probably no one would notice. But, I don't believe in it, but I mean, I guess that's just, I'm not voting, right, so.
Mr. Chair, could-
Yes, sir.
just,
Go right
ju-
ahead.
just a quick response to that,
Yep.
Mr. Chair. I've heard many councillors that live in the new city, like
Sure.
the outside, not getting enough. This is not in the downtown. This is an historic building that is in the royalty. It's in West Royalty. It's one of the two royalties that were part of Charlottetown back in the early 1800s. Not only that, we have the Ellens Creek facility, building down on Ellens Creek, that I'd like to put money into also, because that's another one of our original pump houses. So we have an opportunity here to really put our, practice what we preach, and I think that this roof is a good start for us.
Thank you for your comments, Mayor Brown. Go ahead, Councillor Ramsey.
Thank you, Chair. And I, from hearing both sides, I'm like you and a few others that it's a big cost, but at the same time, I think our manager answered the question by saying it is guaranteed that it will last longer than the 25 years or 30 years or something along that line. So in the long run, we are going to get our money out of it, I think. But it's hard to say with a roof nowadays, and I agree, both sides, like, I don't like to spend, 3 times enough for a roof. If you're building a whole building, it'd be a different story. But if you're building a roof, so I can see both sides.
Thank you. Councillor
you.
Mattar, go ahead.
Yeah, just final comment then, Mr. Chair, and as well hearing some great discussion here and some different perspectives. I'm comfortable with knowing that a slate product could potentially give us more longevity, and so even if it doubled the years, that puts us up to 140 and we got a 60. But I think then that's a small price to pay for the historical preservation of that building, in bringing it back to its true form and nature. And I do respect the Heritage Committee for the work that they've done and kind of coming up with that recommendation. I feel like those are the people who are certainly more educated in the area of historical preservation than I would be. So I do respect their coming to us with that. So I would, and after my questions and the discussion we had here, I would feel comfortable, moving forward with that. Although, like, again, I'm with you. I don't see it here in what we're passing or doing. We don't have anything here to do. So maybe, Sue, we're looking at that as, are we making that decision today, or is that coming back for Mr. Chair for another debate?
I'll let the manager comment on that. Councillor Mattar, go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So what would happen in this instance is we will go out to tender for a slate roof, and then that's your opportunity. I really, when the other committee denied our proposal to look at an alternative, then they brought forward this piece with the change in value of the project. I thought it important to bring it forward to your attention. I don't think it would have been a great move on my part to not bring that to your attention, that a capital project cost had been significantly increased by a decision made by another committee. And I appreciate the discussion. And if I'm hearing correctly, then I will go forward and tender as a slate roof tender. And then that tender comes back to this committee for approval. So we'll see the actual value. These are only estimates that I have at this time. So I'll bring that tender back at that time, and then we can review what that actual tender price is compared to our budget, and we can have additional discussion. I wasn't comfortable making the decision one way or the other with respect to I wanted the conversation to be here with the owners and controllers of that asset rather than another committee. And again, the other committee has given us a building permit to move forward with a slate roof replacement. But there would have also been the opportunity for us to simply go and do asphalt replacement again. So that's why I brought it forward to the committee. And what you'll see next from us is a tender response to a slate roof reconstruction. I believe that's what I'm hearing from the committee. And if you want to have further discussion to help clarify that, that's why I brought it forward. I'm looking for a clarification from you, and then I can move forward and bring something to you.
Well, thank you, Richard. Appreciate that, because it would have been a shock to see it, right? So, at least it's coming here, the communication's open, and we kind of have a discussion about it. So thank you for that. Any other questions? We're good? Perfect. We'll just move on with that. Great. All right, that probably concludes our session for today. Oh, you have a question? Okay.
If I could just ask a question, more so, it's not on the agenda, so I'm not sure if I'm asking to put something, introduction of new business. So it's just a question. Is
You're,
that-
you're free and welcome to ask any question you want.
I don't know. I'm trying to follow procedure.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Chair, the Riverside Drive water main work that is occurring on Exhibition Drive and Riverside Drive has been going on for quite some time. I'm just looking to get a bit of an update on that and maybe a clarification just as well. Is there two pieces of work that is occurring there? One by the city of Charlottetown, but also one by the provincial government? Because I'm hearing that, and I don't know if that's true, and I can't have that discussion with local businesses as a result of that. So if I could get a clarification, if that's not appropriate for today, you have to put that on a different agenda, I will.
No, we can
Thank
do
you, Mr.
that.
Chair.
If the manager's good to answer that question, then we.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. I mean, and so part of what I think I should bring to this committee, and I'll do a better job, is a capital project update or kind of a discussion for that. And that's what Passmore Street was and our other discussion. So Riverside Drive, I'm not aware of any provincial work on Riverside Drive. So I'm going to say that it's likely the water main replacement work, unless there's something, again, I'm not aware of everything the province is doing. So
There's work that's on Riverside Drive that's a little bit further up. Is that our work or no?
So it's across from the wastewater treatment plant.
Somewhere around, generally around there.
Yeah, between Exhibition Drive and Park Street.
Yeah, somewhere in between there. Yeah.
Yep, so that's water and sewer. There's a water main there that we are replacing. We're using directional drilling to do it, so there's not a lot of excavation, but there is some excavation. And it is almost completed. Actually, the water main is in service, and the new connections to the pollution control plant and agri services, those are all live and active now. The only thing left with that construction work is the reinstatement of the asphalt and sidewalks.
Okay.
But there's also the city work on Beach Street and Park Street. And the water and sewer utility did a small piece of work on Exhibition Drive yesterday. So there's lots of construction in that area, but I'm not aware of any provincial government
Okay,
work. But
it's what brought to me. I couldn't answer if it was or wasn't. Just on one comment you just made there, you said what might be left there is asphalt and sidewalk. What were you referring to there?
there's a active transportation path. So there would have been some spots where we needed to dig down doing that work to make the connections over to the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
And there might have been impacts. There's an active
Riverside
transportation
Drive,
trail. Yeah,
So
on
why
Riverside
is,
Drive.
why is Exhibition Drive impacted? Like the signs, the signs are just there?
So right at Exhibition Drive is where we made the connection to the water main. So it's the length of water main that we were replacing runs along Riverside Drive.
Yeah.
And where we are, the end of that project is Exhibition Drive. So that's the spot where we connected back into an existing main.
Okay.
So the end of Exhibition Drive needed to be closed for a period of time while we did that work. And that's also Exhibition Drive a few weeks ago was partially closed because that's where we laid out the pipe that we then pulled underground. So one side of that street was closed during that work.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just think there is, thank you. There's just a lot of, the businesses there are just quite, I mean, there's a lot of other traffic is funneling that way as a result of the closure of Park Street, and I'm not getting into that debate, but anyway, so that's happening there. And then, of course, the businesses with the works there. So it's just, I'm getting a lot of when is this work and why is this work and so on. So it helps me address those. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for answering that, Richard, and thank you for your questions, Councilman Tart. I guess that concludes our meeting for today. If there's nothing left, and the mayor's left, so we can shut it down really quick. Thank you very much. Moved by Councilor Ramsey, second by Councilor Tart. Thank you.